morning.
Cheers. Good morning.
So, yeah,
You were about to say what?
was that like I actually don't remember what I was about to say. Um just that I in one aspect am like so excited about everything that is Radiant Rebel, and I could work 18-hour days doing it, even on those days where it's like you don't feel like, wait, what did I accomplish? But then, like, you look back and you see all that you did,
Yeah.
or even just my recent trip to Florida, where I listed all this stuff that I accomplished while I was visiting family and friends and helping people move. And yet I
Yeah.
still got so much done when you take out the demands of your everyday life. And so what I'm struggling with is that I'm not struggling with that at all. I'm struggling with the fact that it's making more apparent how so much more of my life is just unfulfilling or not working towards the future self that I see,
Yeah.
but working at trying to also then fill that gap. Like I have two jobs. I need to work both of those jobs to support the life that I have, which one job essentially pays my bills and the other job makes it possible for me to travel or go out to eat or spend money on new clothes, getting
Mhm.
my hair done, get my eyelashes done, which don't worry, I have an appointment on Wednesday. But so it's like trying to bridge that gap between, so it's like I've just been hustling where it's like, okay, now I'm back in apply for every job I can look for mode to try to consolidate two jobs into one, because essentially I have three jobs because of Radiant Rebel.
Mhm.
And it's just, it is so exciting, and so when we talked about you know showing up as the woman your future needs, it's helping me to stay focused on, okay, what are the things that I can be doing right now to support myself in a year. And sometimes it's not easy figuring out exactly what those things are. I mean, this is life. It's not like even somebody who's been through something that's very similar as my life, which nobody can say they've been through the exact same stuff that you have in life.
Oh.
So if anybody tells you that, don't listen to them. But it's like, so even if somebody had been through very similar situations, or, working multiple jobs or this or that, it's like they still don't know. So I'm still trying to figure out, okay, what is it, first of all, that I need right now to sustain life, but to help me push forward and move towards, Radiant Rebel being full time and making that be not just my life, but how can I connect and reach other women and feel as though it is worthwhile for them too, but then also you're juggling that with, okay, what do I need now to kind of get through every day and pay my bills, but
Yeah.
also what do I need now to like feed my soul and you know get me excited about the future, but then what do I need to be doing for Julie in 6 months or Julie a year, because we all know, like, people love to focus about, like, okay, if you start doing this now, you will have your beach body by
Mhm.
June, or whatever gimmick people are
Yeah.
trying to sell. So
Yeah.
it's not that I'm trying to sell myself a gimmick, it's just that I'm
Yeah.
trying to figure out what is it that I need to be focusing on so that my future self can feel like it paid off, you
Yeah.
know? And we both know, I mean, how many times have we looked back and realized, wow, I'm so glad I went through this. I'm so glad I handled X, Y, or Z the way that I did because I'm feeling so much better right now. So we know that doing things for your future and your future self pays off because I have experienced that in my own life.
Yeah.
But it's just that tough part of, trial and error and figuring out what works now and what sits well with my soul and what is sustainable for
Yeah.
the present and the foreseeable future. So it's not the most exciting time in my life, guys, but
Well, and to me, it touches on such, it's that in between space that we all go through, throughout life, of that in between. And I think it's one of the most uncomfortable places to be in. We talk a lot about when we feel fully stuck, or like when we feel like we don't know, like we can't envision what's next in the future. And
right.
that's really hard too. But I don't hear a lot of people talking about like how uncomfortable it is and challenging it is when you're in that becoming stage. When you're like having to do all the things and living your current life, the good, the bad, all of it, having to do things you don't want to do to
Creating
keep
new
moving,
habits. People don't
creating
talk
new habits.
like they talk about like this is where I was and this is where I want to be. But creating that habit, the daily habits that you know that you need, that's not easy. And every glow up reel makes it look like it's the easiest thing in the
Yeah.
world, But that's tough stuff to go through.
Yeah. And that like becoming phase is so uncomfortable because you realize suddenly how much of in your life isn't fulfilling, it isn't lighting you up, you're feeling like it's stagnant in some ways, right? And so it's like even the parts of ourselves and our life we want to break up with, there's a transition sometimes where it's like maybe it's not doable financially or whatever. And I think that's like the hardest place to keep your cup full and stay energized when where you want to be, like you feel is in reach and you feel like you just can't quite get there fast enough. And I feel that too, like in some ways, like with stuff that I'm dealing with in my life, where I'm like, well, if I didn't have to put up with this shit, like I would have the energy and time to really like get to invest it in where I want to, where I know my future self will thank me for. And I
Yeah.
was thinking a lot this past weekend about how much balance is a freaking myth and it's bullshit. And people promote balance because it sells. It's that glow up reel you're talking about, where it's like the quick before and after. I don't think balance exists. At least in my life, and the people that I've coached, it's like you find what works for you now to get you to where you want to be. And sometimes that means you're in sprint mode, which means you're making major sacrifices. Like I've had seasons of my life where I didn't get my nails done. I wasn't going out to eat. I wasn't doing anything. And while that's not sustainable long term, it was a sprint moment to like jump me forward. And then I've had other times where I was like, you know what? I need these things to feel good to even like dream about my future. So I'm going to pull back a little and I'm going to do those things. And like this weekend, I got invited by some girlfriends to like go grab a few drinks. And it was like last minute. And I was in the middle of working on Radiant Rebel stuff. And I was like, sorry, I can't come. And there's been like a couple of things recently where like, sorry, I can't do that. And while I know it's not sustainable for forever to like shut the world out, it's like knowing the season that we're in
Hmm.
and staying so true to that future vision of ourselves. Because that's the only way for me stuff is sustainable. Is I
Yeah.
have to be more obsessed with my future and who I get to be in the future than I am with the life I'm living now and the things that I want now. And
Well,
that's
and
for
that's
each
how
of us
you,
to decide,
yeah,
right? Like, I mean, it's going to look different for each of us. Like,
yeah.
each of us need different things. Like, I know for me, like, one of the hardest things has been putting like travel on the back burner, because I'm like, you know what? Like, if I really like, that's a sacrifice I've had to make, and I'm like getting to the point where I'm not willing to like make that sacrifice anymore. Like, I need to travel. But it's like these sprint moments and these finding out what works for you. And for me, that's what has helped me, even in the season that I'm in, of like, you're so close to that next bump up, and like, how do I keep the patience for my current day?
Mm-hmm. Because this
And
isn't the life we're living. I
no,
mean, it's the life that we're living, but it's not the life that we're working towards. It's not what we want. So it's hard. You get to a point where you have less and less patience for the bullshit of every day that you were at one point like, it's part of the day, whatever. When you have this vision of where you're going, of who you see yourself as in our case, like Radiant Rebel, and what that looks like, when you have that vision, you start seeing yourself there.
yeah,
You start making decisions based off of those
there,
people a
yeah,
year from now. We're
yeah,
making decisions now based off of where we see ourselves. And I say a year just because that's like I just made that time frame
easy
up,
time frame.
guys. It could be any time.
Yeah,
But that's what happens. The more that you envision yourself and your life as who you think that you are, who you want to be, where you want to be, then
mm-hmm.
things start falling into place. You start making decisions based off of that. You start doing things based off of that. Next thing you know, who you envisioned is who you are. But what happens is the annoyances that were still annoyances before you started behaving in that manner, they're still annoying, but they get more and more uncomfortable and unbearable to where you're at the point where you're just like, okay, this is it. And that's
Yeah.
when the transition happens from this to that. And you'll see that as it happens. But yeah,
I just view it as like it's how God works. It's the natural flow of growth. Think about when you were a kid
yeah,
and you hit that point where you couldn't wait to get out of your parents' house. And you may have had the best parents in the world, the shittiest parents in the world. It didn't matter. Like, most people, this isn't everyone, but most people hit that point where you're so excited to get out in the world. You're so excited to live your own life or have some freedom or whatever the thing is. If that natural cycle didn't happen, you'd never like grow and branch out and have the courage to do that. And it's the same in our lives when it comes to a business or relate, like whatever it is, where it's like, hey, and if we view it as like I'm just hitting that natural growth point, this is a signal to me I'm getting closer to needing to make a change, to level up, to move forward, instead of, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is my life and I'm here right now, da 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 da. It's like, that's the game changer you're talking about, is okay, we've hit this point where it's like, oh, this is natural. It's a good sign that I'm feeling this way. That means I'm on track, I'm growing, I'm changing, I'm becoming, I'm closer than I probably even realize. So, you know what? I'm going to have patience for my day today, because also I know that it's going to be used to develop and grow something in me that's going to benefit my future season. And maybe I won't have to learn something the hard way, that I can learn now, still in this safe space.
and
That's
that's
what I view a lot about, like, even like in the leadership role that I'm in right now, right? Like, as business grows, as you're hiring people, as you're branching out, how blessed am I that I can learn certain lessons under the cover of someone else's business
mm-hmm.
versus my own, where it would be way more costly, way harder. Da, 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 da. The list goes on and on and on. I keep doing that thing lately. Da, 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 da,
But it
da.
plays right into your point of balance is bullshit, and
Mhm.
people only say it because it sells.
Yeah.
And the realization and the thought that I had behind that is, think about the people that are trying to say like, oh, it's all balance, like balance, and they and not even like the people who are trying to sell you something, just the people in your everyday life. They're typically the people, in my experience, that don't have self-control. They're
Mm-hmm.
the people that don't have a something they're working towards. They're the people that like are justifying that it's okay that things are mediocre and not that great.
Yeah.
I envision some of
Take
the
a
people that
balance.
I have heard saying it, and it's like they're saying like, well, balance is good. Well, they're saying that in reference to, drinking more than they should be.
Like an excuse to go out or
Right.
excuse to like buy something or yeah.
Right. Or an excuse to, eat horribly repetitively. They're like, well, it's
Mhm.
balance. Well, is it balance if you're doing this more often than a brief occasion? No, it's not balance. It's you justifying the fact that you don't want to deny yourself, that you don't want to work hard, and that's okay. If that's the life that you choose to live, if that supports your future self, that's great. But here in this household, we like to say balance is bullshit.
Balance is
Work hard
bullshit.
for what you want.
Balance is bullshit. You get to have it all, but not at the same time. I think that's the other piece where
Right.
it's like, know the season that you're in,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that gives you grace and mercy to get through it. That keeps the excitement going because if I realize there's always going to be something in my life that I want that I don't have.
Yeah.
And if I can cling on to the things that I do have, if I can cling on to having a real deep understanding, I'm in this season. I may not know the time frame of when it's going to end, but I know everything is just for a time. It's
Yeah.
just a season. Then I can say, all right, what are the things that I get to have later because of how I'm choosing to be?
Yeah.
And that is really tapping into who's the woman I need to show up today for my future. Like a year from now, when I look back at myself in this very moment, I can fill in the blank of Christina, I'm so glad you blank so that I can now blank.
Mm-hmm.
What's that first like and last thing that you really want? What is it that you have to do today? And it could be the tiniest thing of just like, if I do this now, my future self gets to be like, I'm so glad you made that little sacrifice. I'm
Yeah.
so glad you didn't give up. I'm so glad you didn't let yourself get frustrated that life wasn't where you wanted to be because I get to be her now.
Mm-hmm.
And we get stuck when we get disconnected with that future her
Yeah.
because it makes our now suddenly feel like our forever.
Yeah.
And
And
that's the
that's
lot.
and that's a good reminder. Everything is for a season. And if you can remind yourself of that, maybe you're in a position where you're not like excited about the future. You're not even excited about the present because whatever's going on is just more than you can think about. But if you can wake up every morning and say something positive to yourself about yourself, something that is unchanging, and you can
Mhm.
remember that this is just for a season. And as you don't know how long that season will be, for me it's helpful to know it's going to end,
Yeah.
and then, at the point where I am at, obviously I wake up and say nice things about myself and try to encourage myself too. That's not just something you do when you're going through shit. You're supposed to do that all
All
the
the time.
time, people.
Yeah.
But what is good for me right now is obviously like getting up and saying that stuff, but then thinking about the ways in which I have seen that I've grown in the
Yeah.
past. So it's encouraging in the season that I'm in right now to be able to look back and say, wow, Julie, I am so glad that you made those decisions XYZ amount of time ago, because that has paid off to put you where you are right now. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and so it's keeping your life in perspective, and it's also remembering to stay focused on the fact that, you know, we are also supposed to enjoy life.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just one big hard work, one big, you know, get through this trouble. And I know sometimes it's hard because there's seasons that you can be in where troubles just seem to like find you every time you turn around, or open your eyes, which can be difficult. But life needs to be enjoyed. So while you're hustling, make sure, like you were saying, you think about like the thing that makes you happy, the joy that different things bring you. And maybe it's not planning a trip or doing a huge travel adventure, which you're denying yourself right now, but maybe there's other things that throughout the day can bring you joy. That's not the one thing that you're denying yourself right now. So,
Yeah, and the greatest act of self-love is discipline.
and
The
it's the
greatest
hard.
act of self-love is making a choice today that's going to make my tomorrow better.
That's
The greatest act of self-love. So what people are selling off as balance is really missing the point of
It's
some,
actually self sabotage, is what it
yeah.
is.
Well, or it's, and when I say it's what sells, I don't even mean just for like coaches and like who are trying to like coach and help people with balance. It's like people sell it even to make it like excuses for my life, or like, oh, look at me. Like it's usually like viewed as kind of like a flex, like, oh, my work life balance, like all of that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, no, like discipline is the greatest act of self-love. And I don't mean denying yourself. It's giving yourself what's best for you.
Mm-hmm.
And when I think about, when we talk about what's going to be sustainable for me, what's sustainable for me in this season? Because I don't have to sustain this season all until I get to a certain achievement or accomplishment or a point. I just have to sustain this season for while I'm in this season. And so it's about, which I talk about a lot, like measuring momentum, not just the outcome or the I'm there moment.
Yeah.
It's what are like the little steps along the way of, it's like when you look back and you're like, I'm here. What?
I
Like
arrived.
a few months ago, like I was not right here.
Right.
I was back there.
Well, and
And
sometimes you
over,
reach that finish line, you reach the I'm here and go past it before you look back and realize that you're there.
yeah, I had that. I just posted on Instagram like a little like life update carousel of like different like things, mainly about like the work that I'm doing, but also a little bit about life. I was impressed by her in that moment. I'm not feeling impressed by her today because of what I have to do today. But like I looked back and I was like, I've had a successful
Mm-hmm.
coaching business. Like I've helped a lot of people. I'm building Radiant Rebel now, like this event space for women. Like I'm also like fun. Like I love to do stuff, hobbies, like get out on the water, ride motorcycle. Like I love her like this. And so while I'm having moments where I'm not where I want to be and I'm not getting to be like the future self and live the future life that I want to live, I also don't want to risk missing out on her.
Mm-hmm.
Because at one point, who I am right now, I didn't know she was possible. I
Yeah.
didn't know she existed. I couldn't even envision a future worth living. That was me at one point. And so to hit a point where it's like, shame on me if I'm going to miss out on the cool girl I am right now because I'm so unhappy with certain things in my life or certain things that I have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've done way more and I've accomplished way more than the little girl who grew up in upstate New York in a small town where I wasn't surrounded by a lot of people who wanted to invest in themselves, who wanted to dream big, who wanted to even branch out or travel. So I always felt like out of place because I was like, what's wrong with me that I can't just be content? Not realizing that, no, God created me to step into different spaces than the people I was around were called to step into. And it's not a greater than thing. It's just
It was
how we were
different.
created thing.
Yeah.
And so for me, when I think about what balance really means, it's it's the image of yours. It's an internal thing. It's about have a good base between investing in my future self and the woman that I'm working towards and becoming, and also loving and appreciating the woman that I am now. That for me is balance. It's not the external things as far as like how I'm spending my time.
Mm-hmm.
It's the internal space of how I'm being present in my life. Because then I get to show up to the job that I don't want to go and do, but be like, I'm that girl right now. And I get to be that girl later. It's not external where the stuff that other people have control over. Like when we talk about circles of control and owning our power and like all of that, it's like it's this internal stuff that changes the game when the external hasn't yet caught up with where you know you're becoming and where you know you want to be.
And there you have it, folks. Christina just talked our way through the whole circle of
The pep
everything.
talk we needed to, you know what's so great is I was like struggling to show up this morning because it's so early and it's just been all the things this week already. It's only Tuesday. But it's like these conversations just like fill you up,
Yeah.
you know, because I think like even when I talk, it's reminding myself as well, you
It's
know,
what
like
people
it's
don't.
reminding me too what I need to hear
Yeah.
too. Like this is stuff, it doesn't matter like what phase you're in life. We all need to be reminded of this stuff.
And you are what you speak. And that's the good
Yeah.
reminder, too, where what is it that you internally say to yourself? What is it that you speak out loud? Those are the things that you will become.
Yeah.
So instead of thinking and obsessing about the stuff that you have to do today that you don't want to, throw in those little tidbits of, I am showing up for myself and I'm showing up for who I envision that I am. And at the same time, I am going to appreciate who I am today as well.
Yeah. It reminds me of like when I was really just in like the worst place imaginable. I started filming videos of just talking to myself because I was envisioning, hey, if I can ever get out of this, like if I survive through this, like how great would it be to be able to like look back and
Mm,
love myself differently? And then it evolved into, hey, let me pretend, and this sounds like so no one will ever see these videos. Let me pretend that I'm my future self and I'm talking to me now. And I'm going to tell myself how great life is, how great I feel, the things that I'm doing. I'm going to thank myself for pushing through another day. I'm going to thank myself for daring to believe that I was worth it, that it could be me, that I deserved real love, like all of those things. And it really like created a beast because you realize that it's like you are her now, even as you're becoming her.
mm-hmm.
Like everything that you need is already inside you. God already put it there because it's more him that's us, right? And when we get to like play pretend for a second and be our future selves talking to our current selves, it also can bring a lot of clarity of what to do next.
Mm-hmm.
When we don't have the answers of should I do this or should I do that? Should I like if I'm my future self and I'm like describing to me everything that I did to get me there,
Yeah.
suddenly sometimes we all of a sudden find the answer that we no matter how many times we sat to brainstorm and reimagine our life, we couldn't find. And it's so cool because it's hidden in us, the next step.
Yeah.
And so it's like if we could just be our future self for a hot second, ramble on, ramble on, ramble on until all of a sudden it's like, oh, that makes sense. Why didn't I see that before? I'm gonna do da, 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 your before and after snapshot.
Well, I hope you have a good day.
Two, I love you lots.
I love you. We'll chat
Okay,
later.
bye.
Bye.